Okay, getting ready to go live. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. The National Weather Service has issued its first tornado warning of the day in the tornado watch area. Southwest Minnesota, this is nowhere near Fargo, Fergus Falls. Everything's happening down to the south with the strongest of the storms. These are moving off to the east northeast as we head into the afternoon. Let's get you right to the radar with this situation as we head into the afternoon hours. 3 severe thunderstorm warnings in yellow polygons that you see there. This direction that they're aiming, showing that the storms are moving from southwest to northeast right now. Let's get right to the tornado warn storm. That is for the area that you see in pink. The pink box is a tornado warning for a Doppler indicated tornado moving northeast at 39 miles per hour. If you are in the path of this particular storm system, you'll want to make sure that you are heading into a safe structure, a sturdy structure away from windows. Here are a couple of facts. This radar is located out in the Sioux Falls area. So where the rotation is right here near the Storden area. We have rotation or motion toward the radar here and away from the radar here. Now there's another area getting what we would call a rear flank downdraft on this side. There's another area. So there are a couple of areas of rotation in this storm. And then just outside of this, in the thunderstorm warmed area just off to the east of Dundee, we have some rotation showing up exactly here. So there are numerous areas of spin in the atmosphere with this one particular thunderstorm cell. The tornado warned storm is right here, working its way through Storden, working its way up towards Sanborn at this time. And again, the speed on that system, so you're aware, near 40 miles per hour. This is what the actual radar display looks like. So you're looking at velocities here. Let's take a look at that local single site radar. You can see the hail core down here by Dundee working its way north and east as well. That's where you can expect some raucous-sized hail out of that particular thunderstorm cell making its way through. Just north of Dundee by about 3 miles to the north and to the east is a hail core with this cell. This storm capable of, let's see, there's a 3/4 inch diameter hail in the tornado warned storm, but this one capable of much greater than that, it looks like to Hutch here. Let's take a look. 2-inch diameter hail from this pink core. This will be moving over the path that the tornado warned storm just left. So that's a process we call training. There's storm 1 working its way to the north and east. Here's the next core and a bite taken out of that storm showing some rotation there. That is a hook echo type shape, and that's developing as we speak right now on the radar. To the south, near Worthington, moving into Worthington now on the I-90 corridor, a very stout cell here with a hail core associated with it. The warning from the Weather Service says it's moving at 50 miles per hour to the north and east. 1 1/2 inch diameter hail from this cell with wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. David, thanks for joining. Lisa, thank you for joining. This is definitely not fun. From Tucson, stay safe and some rain, extremely dry in the desert. David, I hope things are going good. Things a lot less than desert-like. We'll take the rain. We do not want the tornadoes for sure. In Worthington, let's take a look at the velocity inside this particular storm. All the colors are one color. What that shows is there's a lot of outflow from this particular storm moving away from the radar. So you can expect gusty straight line winds with this storm as well. Let's go to a look and we'll take the storm motion out, called storm relative velocity. And now we can see there is indeed areas of shear on this particular storm system. Motion away from the radar on this side and toward the radar on this side, which is interesting because that is a clockwise or anticyclonic type of shear associated with that. Where we see the reds and greens next to each other here, not necessarily rotation, but could be some divergence in the storm. It can also show rolling of air at different levels because the beam is obviously going up at an angle. Crystal, good to have you on board. Graceland down here on vacation from Twin Valley. What's it look like? Well, I'll tell you what. A wild night in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa going on right now. So we'll continue to keep our eyes on that. Thanks, Brenda, for sharing. I appreciate all of you for passing the good word that Hutch Johnson is here covering weather for you. If you're not familiar with me, I've been a broadcast meteorologist, a chief meteorologist for the better part of 30 years in the northern and central plains. I've taught meteorology at the college level for up to 20 years, and now I'm streaming live on my platforms here. So thanks for watching. Now, again, this atmosphere is ripe for the development of tornadoes tonight. Here's a look at the tornado watch area. The watch is in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. It does not include the Twin Cities at this particular point. This line of storms is working its way in towards St. Cloud right now, and we do have some stout thunderstorms in the area. This one here up north of Norway Lake in New London has some pink in it, likely containing some hail. No warning on that yet, so it's smaller than warning criteria at this particular time. But the environment in any of these areas in red are in an area where we have some rotation. Gary from Florida, good to see you on board. Thank you for watching. I sure appreciate it. And I hope the weather down there is treating you lovely, a little bit quieter likely than what we're seeing here. Now, as we take a look at this storm that's working its way through, if you are to the west of this line, the wind is shifting, becoming northerly out here, and you are all but done with your severe weather threat. I don't anticipate storm after storm forming in the same area here. This line, models are indicating it's going to move out. I would agree. Drier air cutting in on the backside of the storm. Now, there is more rain on the backside of the storm that will be making its way wraparound style rain. That's just a cold, wet weather system, not this tornado threat that's working its way through. Back to the radar display here in this fast update, just to give you the very, very latest. Again, the risk for severe weather tonight does include the Twin Cities. As I load up from the Storm Prediction Center a look at their updated advisory. So here we go. Let me turn this on so we can see if there's any major changes. I don't see any at this particular time, but I can update you as a meteorologist as to what's going on. So let's do that right now. In the area you see in red, that just draws your attention. Minneapolis, St. Cloud, points south to Mason City into western reaches of the state of Wisconsin. This is a level 4 risk of severe weather. It doesn't mean everyone in that circle is going to see severe weather, but it's in an environment that is tornado rich. There is a lot of rolling of the air in this particular zone. Thunderstorms that form take that rolling air and bend that rotating vortex or updraft toward the ground. These storms will be volatile tonight, and there is the likelihood of a strong or violent tornado as we go through the night. In fact, we may see numerous tornadoes tonight along this line that forms northern Iowa into southern Minnesota. Right now, the way the radar is lighting up right now, does not speak for the rest of the night. Areas south of the Twin Cities are seeing the most potent thunderstorm activity. Anything, say, north of the Wilmer to Minneapolis line seems to be decreasing in intensity quickly. That's the trend now. That may not be the trend as the low pressure system continues its trek to the east as it works its way through. The orange area is a level 3 risk of severe weather on a 5-level scale. Strong thunderstorms, large hail, and damaging wind are the most likely threat in these areas, but we cannot rule out the fact that we may see some severe thunderstorms. So again, a tornado not out of the question, and maybe even a strong one in these areas. At Sioux Falls, this is where we have those warned storms right now, just crossing in to the area of red, or that level 4. Hello, thanks for joining. I'm saying hi to all of you who are watching on my growing YouTube channel. You can watch on your big screen TV. I stream in HD, so that's just a hint for you if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. Roberta says, flying home tomorrow from Montgomery, Alabama, 6 a.m. to Dallas and then to Fargo in the afternoon. No problems. It will be windy. It will be cold. And when you step off that airplane, we have temperatures now that are in the 30s and 40s already north of us. That's heading our way. So don't forget to wear the long sleeve shirt as you deboard and disembark from your plane. So this is the Storm Prediction Center's area of concern. I can tell you anywhere west of here, our threat for severe weather today is all but gone as we take a look at that radar display. So now let's get back to the radar and take a look at what's going on with temperatures. Here's a look at now temperatures. Do you see this? Heat is on. Hot air and air that has temperatures in the mid 70s to near 80 in the area where the storms are firing. That's hot air rising rapidly. And if that air is humid, it really adds to the energy of the atmosphere. And is it? Yep, you betcha. Near 70 degrees for a dew point south of Wilmer here. What does that mean? Dew point is a temperature we have to cool the air to. The higher these numbers get, 60s is very high for our area, for the northern plains, this time of the year. This air's coming straight out of the Gulf, and it's working its way all the way into Minnesota. This is the humid air that fuels these storms, and it provides moisture to condense, create the clouds, and produce even more lift from these storms, destabilizing the atmosphere as we go through. So again, the time now, 3 o'clock. Storms are firing along this boundary, very humid air. When we get stronger south winds forming, that's called a low-level jet. That can fuel thunderstorms into the night. I hope I answered your question there about your flight, Roberta. Good luck for you on your travels. Shared, thanks so much. Crazy for April tornadoes, question mark. Not crazy, not unheard of, nor unprecedented, particularly in southern Minnesota and Iowa. Thank you, Charity. I appreciate the fact that you're watching. Jean says, greetings from Grand Forks, 10 to 15 degrees colder. If it was 10 to 15 degrees colder, you'd be in a blizzard right now, and I would agree with that assessment. The wind is ridiculous. Now, this is the area where the humid tongue of air is sneaking up from the Gulf and it's fueling thunderstorms. Let's look at those winds. Right now, this is gusts. Gusts in this area of southern Minnesota and Iowa are not the strongest, but let's go ahead and take a look at what the numbers and digits are saying. So as we go into southern Minnesota, North Iowa, 30 mile per hour south winds here fueling the thunderstorms with that moist air. Look at what's going on. This is a cold, dry wind in North Dakota, 48 mile per hour gusts in Fargo, 44 in Jamestown, with a 58 mile per hour gust earlier today. This core of air here, 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts moving through Fargo, is coming out of the north. This is cold, dry air. That means the severe weather threat is all but done. So it's the severe weather threat now. Morris, Montevideo, points east and south of there. And that's a look at the picture right now. The radar shows this. As we continue with a look at the regional and national radar, I want to touch base here. We've had some beneficial moisture, and that continues. This band that you see here will trail the storm system, and for you in Lakes Country right now, Otter Tail County, parts of western Minnesota are in this eye of the storm, if you will. This is where the low pressure center is located. You're going to get a calming of the wind. You're going to get quiet, maybe even a break in the clouds out there. And then shazam, slam, bam, comes the winds right out of the north. And this cold, dry air out of the north will cause this rain shower activity to slowly dry up and move down to the south and east, tracking on the north side of the low. So as this low moves through, so will this band of rain. That means if you are in Grand Forks, if you are in Fargo, if you are in northwest Minnesota, the rain may be wrapping up now, but likely will be on its way back to your neck of the woods. There's raindrops on Hutch's map. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. Rainfall reports from around the region look like this. 2 inches of rain in Jamestown. Got a picture on hutchesweather.com of that. Thank you very much, Napoleon. You got 2 inches of rain reported out there, and the Bismarck area with a beautiful 1 inch amount of rain. Look at the Black Hills of South Dakota and snow flying in parts of the elevated terrain of the Wyoming Rocky Mountains. And wow, and those Beartooth and Bitterroots, we're expecting 1 to 2 feet of snow, maybe even a little bit more at the peaks. Winter storm warnings out there in the Big Sky country. Okay, it looks like the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. It's been replaced with a large aerial coverage of a thunderstorm warning here. So from Windham, Springfield, this line of storms is making its way towards you. It is in a rotation-rich environment. The National Weather Service, for this big polygon, warning a huge area that this line of storms could, in isolated places, not everywhere in this warned area, produce 1.5 inch diameter hail and wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. This storm has a history of producing 2.8 inch diameter chunks of ice. Yuck. That's reported by non-uniformed folks out there, measuring the hail at 2 inches at its widest diameter. Sometimes it's oblong, like an egg. Measure the widest diameter. That helps us meteorologists calculate how strong the updrafts must be. And it helps us know that when we're seeing one reflectivity on our radar, what might be reaching the ground. You see the blue reflectivity there outside of Windham? That is a hail core moving in that general direction, and big hail. In fact, that might be the largest hail core that we're seeing in this, near Heron Lake. And as we look out here towards Windham, that storm is making its way in your general direction. So big time hail, rotating thunderstorms, the latest velocity data from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, showing that we do have shear along this boundary. Green is motion toward the radar, red motion away from the radar. So some shear in the atmosphere today. There are chasers aplenty surrounding this storm. I'm keeping my eyes on what they are seeing. I have seen vortexes make contact with the ground from some of these in these storms right here on the south side, not far from Worthington. So I will say that I do believe some of these storm chasers that are out there have already captured some of the activity out there. So there's a lot of eyeballs on these storms out there. I'm looking at one now in the area near Hartley, Iowa, and I can tell you that it does look like those clouds are producing a lowering cloud base off in the distance as well. So there is some rotation with this particular cell, and a chaser is on that. Keeping my eyes on all this information for you, you're watching Hutch's Weather. Remember, if you head over to hutchesweather.com, I have put together what I like to call one-stop shopping. Not only can you get your forecast, if you put your zip code in the first time you use it, it'll let you know what the alerts are for your particular zip code, so you can always go to hutchesweather.com, whether you're on your device, your laptop, your desktop, or your cellular phone or mobile device. Putting in your zip code and where you are will help. David says, hi Hutch, are you a fan of the Turnpike Troubadours? You know what, David? Thank you for asking. I like all types of music, but Turnpike Troubadours, I'm not sure I'm familiar with their work, so you'll have to let me know. Maybe I'll put a link up here and I'll try to get to it. And better yet, email me the link at hutchesweather.com. You can email me, find my address on the page there. At any rate, looking like some wild weather working its way into southern Minnesota now. Is there a danger or a threat in central Minnesota? I'm going to end with that, since that's the core area of the viewing area up here, not far from us in the Fargo area. We're switching to the Mayville radar, and I'm going to get right back to that. Here's what's going on in our neck of the woods. Well, velocity, all the wind is coming out of the north. That's what this shows, Hutch. The wind is blowing out of the north. How fast is the radar picking up winds? Ooh, that's a great question, Hutch Johnson. Grand Forks, this radar at elevation is seeing, whoop, did you see that 66 mile per hour nonsense up here? That's right. Winds off the ground by a little bit, mind you, are blowing at over 60 miles per hour in some of these areas, but a large part of the area seeing 40 to 55 mile per hour gusts. That's heading through Grand Forks right now. The bright spot is the windiest spot. So that's where the core aloft above the ground, because the radar scans up, of this wind core is just off the ground. Emerado, southern Grand Forks County, moving towards Griggs and Steele County, Trail County as well. That's where gusty winds are. Now we followed on the other side. Are we seeing strong winds blowing away from the radar, Mayville? You betcha we are. 66 miles per hour. So this core of wind right here, 75 miles per hour near Tower City. That's a core moving towards you right now. Does that mean that's what's going to be blowing on the ground? Not necessarily. This is above the ground. How far above the ground is that radar beam, you might ask? Well, let me see if I can find that information out for you. I do believe I can look that up. And let's see, where is that? Let's go here, and let's go radial. Okay, so from the radar in Mayville, if I click on that and go down here to where we're seeing the stronger winds, let's see. I think I didn't click on it good enough. Let me see if I can do that again. There we go. So let's see if that's working. Oh, that's just, let me get rid of that. I'm having troubles working with this here tool. There it is. Okay, so now, as we take this radar beam and we get down towards Tower City, where the radar was measuring that 70 plus mile per hour wind, how far above the ground is it? 2,500 feet. So if you're flying an aircraft today at 2,500 feet, you're going to run into a northerly wind at about 75 mile per hour. That's a stout wind, okay? So again, 2,500 feet off the ground, we have 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. That there's some mighty, mighty air that's in a mighty, mighty hurry, okay? That energy can and does sometimes makes its way down to the ground. So we do have winds aloft that are upwards of 70 miles per hour, that some areas could see gusts well over 60 miles per hour. That core of really redonky-donk winds moving towards Tower City, Buffalo, Castleton, Valley City, and it'll be pushing down towards Fingal and Alex as we head into the afternoon. So that's a look at that tool there that helps me see how high up in the storm that the cloud is looking at. Thank you for your patience in me pulling up that information for you. Temperatures are on their way down in Fargo and the Valley. Wind speeds are on their way up. We have Fergus Falls. Are you kidding me? Fergus Falls, 68 degrees. Don't plant the pineapple trees just yet, because the air temperature is 20 degrees cooler in the FM area. That is a huge temperature change. So if Hutch goes up here and I look at the temperature change graphic, check this nonsense out. The area of blue that you see up there is falling temperatures, and it is 20 plus degrees colder than yesterday in these areas. So 20 degrees colder than yesterday. You get down in the orange areas, and that's 25 degrees warmer than yesterday in Sioux Falls and Sioux City. This warm air fueling the thunderstorms that we're seeing now. Thanks for watching, Russ. Thank you. Recorded 1.29 inches of rain since midnight northwest of Warren. Thank you for your report, Russ. I'll pass that along to the National Weather Service folks. In fact, you got to bear with Hutch as I write this stuff down. So you're talking about Warren. Thank you for your report from Marshall County. Love your movie theater, by the way. That place is so fun. 1.29 inches since midnight. And I do think that backside of the storm, that rain band that we were talking of, it will be on its way back through your area. Big time temperature change in the area. Big time gusty winds the rest of the night. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning I'm seeing in Wisconsin. Let's get to that. If you're in central Wisconsin, I know I have a couple of viewers that are interested, so let's take a look. Oh, here we go. We got that Mayfield, Owen area, not far from the Park Falls area, just south of there. This is in what looks like Nilsville. As you look at this storm here, this one has a hail core that's going to be making its way towards Neilsville. Let's take a look at the National Weather Service's information on this particular storm. It is moving to the north and east. I know that, and it's moving at a speed of 74 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. Wind gusts to 60. Let me just put a little perspective on this. If that storm's moving at 74 miles per hour and it even burps down a little bit of outflow, your gusts are going to be stronger than 60, I'm afraid. So what I'm going to say here is if this storm is really moving at 74 miles per hour, which it probably is not, it's going to be capable of 70-mile-an-hour winds very easily. Now, it's in an environment with strong south winds. It's moving north and east, heading into Nilsville. Here's the hail core making its way in, and we could see some hailstones, according to the Weather Service, upwards of 1 inch in diameter. That's what's going on in northern and central parts of Wisconsin. Look at this Wausau storm. Wow, that's a doozy. Hail reports north of Wausau, 3/4 of an inch in diameter out there, and it may be even stronger just off to the east of town there in Wausau. So we have widespread severe storms working their way through this line, making its way through the Brainerd Lakes area with a lot of thunder and lightning moving up to Hibbing. These storms here are non-severe. The environment they're forming in does not have as much spin as the environment does to the south. That doesn't mean we couldn't have a storm or two flirt with severe criteria. So keep that in mind. Grand Rapids, Hibbing, Hoyt Lakes, all the way down towards Cross Lake in the Brainerd area. Brainerd Lakes area, Nisswa points north on Highway 371 there. We're seeing some storms. And my folks' hometown, Staples, Minnesota, I'll tell you what, there's a line of showers and thunderstorms. This is all moving off to the north. That's working its way to the north and east. And there has been some lightning, but the most abundant lightning up here near the Grand Rapids area. Not much lightning showing up from that cell right there. Down to the south, here we go. Looking at the I-94 corridor just near Sauk Center, Freeport, Melrose. This line of storms here is forming in that volatile turning environment. I'll go ahead and take a look at the velocities showing up by the Chanhassen radar. If I can switch over, I'm going to have to because the other radar is not picking this one up. So here we go. Switching over. Trying to switch over. Here we go. There it is. Okay, so this storm is, as you can see, on the outside range of this radar, not really that close to the radar site. So these radar returns are going to be basically looking at the velocities in the mid-levels of the cloud, not necessarily at the base of the cloud, which is where we prefer to see the data. But we can certainly see that there is some weak shear associated with these storms making their way towards Melrose and the Greenwald area. Nothing super strong. Let me go ahead and add in the storm or subtract out the storm motion, and we just don't see much at all with regards to rotation in the storms until we get south and west of Atwater, south and east of Wilmer. That storm does have a little bit of spin or shear associated with it on that particular scan right there. The main event taking place just off to the east of Sioux Falls on the I-90 corridor. These storms are severe. They have produced some what looks like funnels making contact with the ground on some video clips that I've seen. What is your prediction for the Cedar Rapids area in Iowa? If you go ahead and look a little bit south, all I can tell you is many many of the models are keeping most of the strong thunderstorms in northern parts of Iowa. There'll be some later redevelopment down here, late evening stuff, and that'll bring Cedar Rapids a better chance at some thunderstorms a little bit later in the forecast period. I'll pull up a quick model for you to show you the latest on that. We'll look at this model. Let me make sure the run is going to be a good one here. Let me go back to this one. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is going to focus on your area because you asked a question. I'll do my best to answer this, and then I will get off so I can finish up a couple of other things. Mitch says, how much will the outflow boundaries created by these current storms affect the propagation of new cells? That's always a factor with these storms. Sometimes these outflow boundaries can actually build and enhance new cells. Other times they outflow away and park somewhere until another boundary hits it, that cold rain-cooled air. Back to this question, I'm going to go ahead and answer with some model guidance, and let's take a look at this as it loads up. So you're asking about Cedar Rapids. You are in an area that is concerned. We have concern for severe weather. Here's the timeline on it. If you look at this, 8 p.m., the line's moving through parts of southeast Minnesota and central parts of Iowa. There may be more storms filling in this line. There may be no storms that fire in this particular area, but it does look like it will be after 8 to 10 o'clock. That line will make its approach. And then in the overnight hours, these showers and storms, if they do form at all, will be moving through your area. The risk in the overnight hours will not be zero for severe weather, but it will not be as high as the factors are right now in the forecast. Now, if we carry this out through the overnight, you can see it just dashed right through there. More rain returning to your area. Not necessarily severe as we go into the last day of the month in the morning, some morning showers in Cedar Rapids. That's the answer to your question. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Holly says, is it fizzling out in the orange zone, Otterdale County? I have mentioned a couple of times. Let's go back to the radar right now. But what I expect for the areas in western Minnesota, let me get to it, is the severe weather threat. I'll repeat this again. The severe weather threat in the Red River Valley counties and the I-29 corridor is all but over in these areas as the threat in the main line of storms moves off to the east. These cold, dry north winds that'll be blowing in are sweeping away that hot, humid air that's going to really be the factor that creates the storms in the first place. So if you're in Fargo, Fergus Falls, Morris, Sisseton, Watertown, the threat is all but over. You are still in tornado watches in these areas, but I would anticipate, I'm not the National Weather Service, I would anticipate that you'll start seeing some counties carved off that are in the watch as the system moves off to the east. And in fact, I think that is the case right now. Sioux Falls has been removed from that particular tornado watch box right now. So again, the threat is exiting our western Minnesota counties. It is moving into southern and central parts of Minnesota right now with the most volatile threat. Largest hail potential and rotating storms working their way off to the east. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thank you for watching. You can always get the latest anytime, anywhere on hutchesweather.com. Thanks for watching.